to today's study in Search the Scriptures. We are on study number 11 in the book of Deuteronomy, which covers chapter 12 and chapter 13. And we are going to answer two questions today. The first one being, how does chapter 12 relate to the first commandment and chapter 13 to the second? And how do the regulations of chapter 13 demonstrate the priority of God's will over alleged results, respect of persons, ties of blood, and great numbers? Well, let's look now at Deuteronomy chapter 12 and chapter 13 together, beginning with chapter 12 and verse number 1. These are the decrees and the laws that you must be careful to follow in the land that the Lord, the God of your fathers, has given you to possess, as long as you live in the land. Destroy completely all the places on the high mountains and on the hills and under every spreading tree where the nations you are dispossessing worship their gods. Break down their altars, smash their sacred stones, and burn their Asherah poles in the fire. Cut down the idols of their gods, and wipe out their names from those places. You must not worship the Lord your God in their way, but you are to seek the place the Lord your God would choose from among all your tribes to put his name there for his dwelling. To that place you must go. There bring your burnt offerings and sacrifices, your tithes and special gifts, what you have vowed to give, and your freewill offerings, and the firstborn of your herds and flocks. And there in the presence of the Lord your God, you and your families shall eat and shall rejoice in everything you have put your hand to, because the Lord your God has blessed you. You are not to do as we do here today, everyone as he sees fit, since you have not reached the resting place and the inheritance the Lord your God is giving you. But you will cross the Jordan and settle in the land your God is giving you as an inheritance, and he will give you rest from all your enemies around you, so that you will live in safety. Then to the place the Lord your God will choose as a dwelling for his name, there you are to bring everything I command you, your burnt offerings and sacrifices, your tithes and special gifts, and all the choice possessions that you have vowed to the Lord. And there rejoice before the Lord your God, you, your sons and your daughters, your men servants and maidservants, and the Levites from your towns, who have no allotment or inheritance of their own. Be careful not to sacrifice your burnt offerings anywhere that you please. Offer them only at the place the Lord will choose in one of your tribes, and there observe everything I command you. Nevertheless, you may slaughter your animals in any of your towns, and eat as much of the meat as you want, as if it were gazelle or deer, according to the blessing the Lord your God gives you. Both the ceremonially unclean and clean may eat it, but you must not eat the blood. Pour it on the ground like water. You must not eat in your own towns the tithes of your grain and new wine and oil, or the firstborn of your herds and flocks, or whatever you vowed to give, or any freewill offering or special gifts. Instead, you are to eat them in the presence of the Lord your God at the place the Lord your God will choose, you, your sons and daughters, your men servants and maidservants, and the Levites from your towns. You are to rejoice before the Lord your God in everything you put your hand to. Be careful not to neglect the Levites as long as you live in your land. When the Lord your God has enlarged your territory, as he promised you, and you crave meat and say, I'd like some meat, then you may eat as much of it as you want. If the place where the Lord your God chooses to put his name is too far away from you, you may slaughter animals from the herds and flocks the Lord has given you, as I have commanded you, in your own towns, and you may eat as much of them as you want. Eat them as you would gazelle or deer. Both ceremonially unclean and clean may eat. But be sure you do not eat the blood, because the blood is the life, and you must not eat the life with the meat. You must not eat the blood. Pour it out on the ground like water. Do not eat it, so that it may go well with you and your children after you, because you will be doing what is right in the eyes of the Lord. But take your consecrated things and whatever you have vowed to give, and go to the place the Lord will choose. Present your burnt offering on the altar to the Lord your God, both meat and the blood. The blood of your sacrifices must be poured beside the altar of the Lord your God. But you may eat the meat. Be careful to obey all these regulations I am giving you, so that it may always go well with you and your children after you, because you will be doing what is good and right in the eyes of the Lord your God. And the Lord your God will cut off before you the nations you are about to invade and dispossess. But when you have driven them out and settled in their land, and after they have been destroyed before you, be careful not to be ensnared by inquiring about their gods, saying, how do these nations serve their gods? We will do the same. You must not worship the Lord your God in their way, because in worshiping their gods they do all kinds of detestable things the Lord hates. They even burn their sons and daughters in the fire as sacrifices to their gods. See that you do all I command you. Do not add to it or take away from it. Now chapter 13, if a prophet or one who foretells by dreams appears among you and announces to you a miraculous sign or wonder, and if the sign or wonder which he has spoken takes place, and he says, let's follow other gods, gods you have not known, and let us worship them, you must not listen to the words of that prophet or dreamer. The Lord your God is testing you to find out whether you love him with all your heart and with all your soul. It is the Lord your God you must follow, and him you must revere. Keep his commands and obey him. Serve him and hold fast to him. The prophet or dreamer must be put to death because he preached rebellion against the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt and redeemed you from the land of slavery. He has tried to turn you from the Lord your God commanded you to follow. You must purge the evil from among you. And if your very own brother or your son or daughter or wife you love or your closest friend secretly entices you, saying, let's go and worship other gods, gods that neither you nor your fathers have known, gods of the peoples around you, whether near or far, from one end of the land to the other, don't yield to him or listen to him. Show him no pity. Do not spare him or shield him. You must certainly put him to death. Your hand must be the first in putting him to death, and then the hands of all the people. Stone him to death because he tried to turn you away from the Lord your God, who brought you out of Egypt, out of the land of slavery. Then all Israel will hear and be afraid, and no one among you will do such an evil thing again. If you hear it said about one of the towns that the Lord your God is giving you to live in, that wicked men have arisen among you and have led the people of their town astray, saying, let's go and worship other gods, gods you've not known, then you must inquire, probe, and investigate it thoroughly. And if it is true, and it has been proved that this detestable thing has been done among you, you must certainly put to the sword all who live in that town, destroy it completely, both its people and livestock. Gather all the plunder of the town into the middle of the public square, and completely burn the town and all its plunder as a whole burnt offering to the Lord your God. It is to remain a ruin forever, never to be rebuilt. None of these condemned things shall be found in your hands, so that the Lord will turn from his fierce anger. He will show you mercy, have compassion on you, and increase your numbers, as he promised on oath to your forefathers, because you obey the Lord your God, keeping all his commands that I am giving you today, and doing what is right in his eyes. Let's get to the questions now for today's study. Question number 1, how does chapter 12 relate to the first commandment and chapter 13 to the second? Well, it seems to me that chapter 12 deals with both the first and second commandments. God clearly states that there's no equal to him, and that all elements of idol worship are to be completely destroyed. Chapter 13 deals with false prophets, not graven images, so that's the subject, actually, the second commandment. So I think this question kind of misses the mark by asking to show the relationship of chapter 13 to the second. Chapter 12 seems to deal with both the first and second commandment, having no other gods before you and not creating any graven images. Now let's look to the second question. How do the regulations of chapter 13 demonstrate the priority of God's will over alleged results, respect of persons, ties of blood, and great numbers? Well, the Church of the United States seems to me needs to take a hard look at Deuteronomy chapter 13. We are a culture of results, and in this chapter God clearly states that results are meaningless. What matters to the Lord is faithfulness to his word. Results can be deceiving, and they're often a test from the Lord to see if we are going to follow the results or if we're going to follow his word. Also, I think it's very interesting in this chapter, the first chapter there that we studied, that it clearly states that we are not to take the way the world worships as our pattern for doing what we need to be doing in the church. I hope this study's been a blessing to you. I hope you're having a great day so far. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. God bless.